Go Tiger.
Go Tiger. Almost back. I don't know if he's ever going to win again.
I think he will.
Well, he was what, 40th? Wasn't he in the
Masters?
Yeah.
He made the cut, but he was like, yeah.
And he was way down there.
One on the bottom in the cut.
Yeah.
He played well at 2 tournaments before that.
Well, his back is a huge issue.
Yeah,
but back surgery.
Yeah, that's what screwed him up.
I think it's just a new age a little bit in golf too, where it's younger guys are rising up and he's getting older, and it's like there's not the threshold. Like Jack Nicklaus was good because he was 40 and he was still better than everybody at golf, and nobody trained for it. Now it's like guys actually know what the fuck they're doing.
Well, yeah, but also Tiger's whole scandal thing is one thing, but I mean his back was like seriously fucked.
Yeah,
and then when you're a golfer and the back is your biggest freaking thing you're using all the time, so by the time he gets surgery and now he's recovered and he's got to change he changes his swing completely. He changed it because he had to.
Yeah.
And now that he's starting to get used to it and comfortable with it, I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, it's going to take some time. Like give it a few years and he's probably going to be right back on top again. So. He's pretty old now though, isn't he?
He is, but he's still in great shape. He's
probably 38.
I think he's in his 40s.
No, I'm pretty sure he's in like mid to late 40s now.
Yeah, I think he is.
Really?
Yeah. It's been a long time since he's been champ.
Yeah. When's the last major he won? Probably
2004?
No, he won in 2008 or 9.
Was it?
Sure. I think he won 1 or 2 in 1 year and then just fell off the map.
I don't know. When did he start banging hookers?
Well, he was banging them long before then.
I guess that would have been later than that because I would have still been in high school so after that. So yeah, I think you're right, 2008, 2009.
Before we get started, I don't know if
we're already going.
And we're already going. Oh, cool.
Oh.
Thought it'd be a nice natural push
parlay.
into it. But you ruined it just now.
Were you able to check through the notes?
I was, yeah.
And everything seemed...
Yeah, whatever. I'm open.
Okay.
I'm open, boys.
No, I just meant in terms of it was all right, because I just kind of... I Googled you a little bit.
Totally.
And I went, I kind of know some of this.
Yeah,
so.
you know some things about me, right? Obviously. And then, we'll play along.
All right, sounds good. Let's do this thing.
All right. Lead us off, Riley.
Well, we are here with Mr. Addison Herosian. I'm going to call him Addy all day today, all night maybe. It doesn't matter. Whenever you're listening to this podcast, Addison is part of the Remax One group.
Correct.
And runs Social Savvy, trademark.
Yes.
Realty, along with your business partner.
Correct.
And his name is?
Jesse Peters.
Awesome. So your father was a professional NFL and CFL player.
Mm-hmm.
You were a former personal trainer at Pro Fitness.
Mm-hmm.
You did boot camps. Got my roommate in shape.
I did. Started at Harrison
Where
on
was
the track of the good shape lifestyle.
Nice. Where's Pro Fitness?
It's in Charleswood on Hearthstone Road. So my dad actually and my sister both own and manage and run that place. It's very interesting actually with Pro Fitness. Never once have we done any sort of advertising. Never once. So my dad built the business, started off in the basement of his house. We had a gym in our house growing up. Started the business there, expanded to a place in a little strip mall, decent size, and now we're in our building now. I think it's like 8,000 square feet, something like that, 10,000 square feet.
Whoa.
Pretty big. It's a big
space.
Big space. Yeah. I don't quote me on that. I could be lying, but it's big.
There's a lot of room.
There's a lot of room. And yeah, he never once paid for advertising, all done through word of mouth and just positive responses and people talking about it, which is, in my opinion, that's the best way to build a business.
That's awesome. How long has it been around?
Oh, geez. When did my dad start it? How old am I? We already went through this, Riley. Forgot how old I am again.
We're 26, born in 91, unless you have a...
Early birthday. Yeah, you're right.
Early birthday.
Turning 27 in August. So my dad started this when I was probably 10 years old. So 17 years-ish.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he transferred from playing professionally and then just became a trainer?
Well, my old man, he played for the Baltimore Colts in the NFL for a bit. Played there for 3 years. Came here to CFL, played for the Bombers for 5. While he was playing for the Bombers, he started a business called Amway Quickstar. You may have heard of it.
Yeah.
So he didn't start it, obviously, but he started working in that business, in that atmosphere. And he kind of was the pioneer in Winnipeg here of that business.
So what was that business?
So basically what Amway is, it's a online network marketing kind of thing.
Okay.
You know, a lot of people will talk crap about it, and a lot of people, you'll Google it, you'll see a pyramid scheme. But it's actually not, because a pyramid scheme, when someone's at the top, you can't be surpassed.
Right.
In the Amway business, anybody can pass the person that is bringing them in under their branch or under their business.
So much like any corporation, really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So actually, Amway started as a beauty and cosmetic product line. That's how they got their name. They were making unbelievable beauty and cosmetic products. That's how they started. But now they've branched to all sorts of home and wellness products. And essentially, it is sales. Essentially, you're bringing people into the business. Essentially, you want people to buy the products and promote the products. Of
course.
And that's, at the end of the day, is what it is. And my dad, that is where my dad kind of was most successful in. Now, you know, obviously he was an awesome athlete and everything, but he was most successful in his business. And then while he still does this to this day, he still does it. And then as well, he started the training thing. Because obviously he's always had a fitness background and always been active.
So does he himself train as well? Then?
He does.
Okay.
He still trains some people. I hope my dad listens to this. He's gonna laugh. But you know, my dad's getting old now, and he's getting to that point where he should start thinking about retirement and start just chilling out. And he's getting there. He's starting to hang out a little bit more now.
I think it's a generational thing, because you just met my dad here too.
Yeah.
But it's the guys who aren't gonna retire until they're. Well, my dad says he won't retire until he's dead. So
yeah.
That's kind of the mentality of that generation for whatever reason. It's just
totally
keep providing, keep living the lifestyle that you want, and be able to provide the experiences too.
Yeah, no, exactly. And you know what? To each their own. I mean, I hope when I'm my dad's age, I'll be able to retire and just live in Arizona and golf every day. I mean, that
sounds pretty nice,
right?
So that's the dream life for you then?
That's the dream life. One day,
away?
golf and
Pro Tour or what?
Traveling, golf, warm weather. That's all I want. Pro Tour, maybe that too, Jayse. Yeah.
What's the top of the bucket list for travel?
Ooh, top of the bucket list for travel. I don't know. My girlfriend Lindsay, she's been pretty much everywhere. She's a big traveler. So you know what? Basically, it goes, Lindsay, where are we going? Because she knows all the hot spots and all the good places to go. I do want to do Croatia. She's been there. She loves it. Asia's one on my list I want to do as well. I'd say those are probably my top two in my mind right now. In the future, who knows what the future holds?
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. For me, it's the Colosseum. I need to see the Colosseum. I'm Roman history buff, and there's no place I'd rather visit. It's just the history behind it.
Yeah,
too.
that would be amazing to see. Colosseum, the cathedral there, all of that. I would always say Netherlands, because that's where my family is from, my grandparents from. Yeah. I always say I'm going to do it. I'm 30 years old, so I'm much more ancient than you, and I haven't even traveled outside of North America yet.
You haven't traveled outside North America yet?
Never.
Neither have I. Neither have I.
I made it to Australia, so that was number one previously on my bucket list. It was something about the Australian accent really brought me in.
Tied you in.
And I actually stopped in Fiji on the way home too, and that was a really amazing cultural experience. Just seeing people that lived. It's almost if Hawaii wasn't Americanized and all the skyscrapers and things, just the natural beauty and cultural beauty too. It was island lifestyle, so things just weren't by the clock. Mm-hmm. It was, okay, the sun's in the sky, let's go play some volleyball. We were on a resort island too, so it was a little bit more lax, but that was such a cool thing. Turtle races were a thing.
Turtle races, wow.
Turtle race.
You got time on your hands when you're doing turtle races.
You can place a lot of bets during the race too, I'm sure.
4 hours later.
Yeah.
So one thing I wanted to talk about, since you were a former hockey player, obviously the biggest thing that's happened lately with the Humboldt team, just kind of your thoughts and really how it affected you. Like, I know for me, it's knowing guys that have played on. I know one of my close friends, his rights were with Humboldt, and it's just so strange to think how fragile life is.
Totally.
And it's just so sad, But it's at the same time, it seems that the nation kind of rallies together at these moments and just 100%. Cares.
You know what? The hockey community is a crazy thing. You know, everyone in the hockey community, especially in Canada, is tied together.
Yeah.
I think back to my junior days, how many countless bus rides I went on. I played in Steinbach, and I actually commuted out to Steinbach for 2 years. So I was driving to Steinbach and back every single day. And I think, you know, like all the icy roads that I drove on, life is so fragile. It could have been taken from me any minute, any of those times. You never had that thought cross your mind.
Yeah.
But then you see something like this happen, and it's just obviously it's beyond saddening. It's beyond sickening. But you know what? Like, you also think about how many teams across Canada there are, how many junior teams across Canada there are. There's hundreds of thousands, I'm sure. And how many bus trips they take daily.
Yeah.
And, our roads aren't great. Our weather isn't good here.
Especially when you're going through winter and driving,
totally.
right?
I mean, I count blessings that doesn't happen more often too, as well, because these things could happen every weekend for the amount of bus travel that teams in Canada do. But it's just it's a heartbreaking thing. But I love how everyone's just kind of rallied and showed support. Because
the support's amazing for it. And just all the NHL teams wearing Broncos on their jerseys, and I don't know what they raised up to this point. Last I checked, it was like 6 or 7 million.
I think it's at 13 million.
It's almost double that now. Wild. That's insane.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Wow,
it's awesome.
It just shows. It's something about the hockey community too. It's everybody. I know guys who coached some of the people that were on that team, and some people that have ties to either coaches or players, and it's so sad to see. Like, it's just a loss of so much potential, and not even just hockey. It's just young guys trying to figure out their lives and also live their hockey dream. And just in an instant that everything can change. And my journey through sport, bus rides, and so you think of all those chances and all those things, and you really take it for granted sometimes. Completely true. Just your safety. But I really enjoy something about the hockey sticks outside the offices and things. Like, it's a nice tribute. I also see the other side of it though too, where something about Facebook filters and it just becomes a little bit too saturated and just a little bit too much for attention by some of those companies. So I don't know, I take it with a grain of salt sometimes, but in all, it seems that the support and just the fact that everybody's thinking and really, really just the love that's been poured out towards Humboldt and the people affected has been just amazing.
I think it hits home for it obviously hits home for a lot of people, right? I mean, hockey is basically Canada's sport.
Yeah.
A lot of people play it. It's home with a lot of people. I know when my mom saw the news, she was so heartbroken and saddened by it, instantly sending me kissing faces and, just saying how happy she is, that I had never experienced this catastrophe. Because, again, like how many times I've been on the bus. It's crazy.
That actually has been something that in my own life has started to take a little bit of precedence, is just showing appreciation for the people that are there, because life is fragile and you really don't know. It's not necessarily a tragedy in that sense, but you don't know if people are going to be happy, healthy, functional for the rest of their lives. And especially, having aging parents or having aging relatives and seeing some of the things that they go through. You can't take this life for granted. And especially the times that you spend with people. I think now as a young adult, you start to appreciate, because there's that separation when you're a teenager where you want to be an individual and you want to learn to be yourself. And then all of a sudden you become a young adult and you still want that independence and you want to grow and you don't want to rely on them. But then you almost form that relationship in a new sense. And it's it's a beautiful thing to come full circle and just appreciate all the sacrifices, all the things that our parents and our relatives and our siblings do for us too.
Completely agree. Yeah.
So,
sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
I'll go.
Let's be polite about it.
You go.
Sorry.
The Canadian
way.
Canadian arguments.
I just kind of want to tie the whole Humboldt thing into for people that are listening and that don't know, we're based out of Winnipeg, Manitoba. Go Jets.
Go Jets.
Because they're doing amazing right now. Won 2 games in the playoffs right now, so they're 2-0 in this current series against Minnesota. And just to see the overwhelming, just the community around hockey here. I never realized how big it was until I saw the whiteout in the arena in the first game, and even last night during the second game, and seeing the street outside. I don't know how many people were there. The total on Wednesday was 11,000, I believe, and it was even more on Friday. They had to expand the space because it became a safe health and safety issue. They make more room on the street for all the people watching outside. And it wasn't warm either. It was cold outside, and that many people were there. That's insane and amazing at the same time.
So you don't remember the incarnation of the Jets 1.0? You don't remember Teppo Numanen and Keith Tkachuk and Chris King, Nikolai Habibulin?
See, I could
rattle off the whole roster.
Yeah, of course. I was talking to somebody actually yesterday about the whole Jets success and the city obviously coming in and supporting the Jets, and they asked me, do you think all after this love affair, they're successful for 5 years, if you think the attendance is going to run down?
Mm-hmm.
And I go, you know what? I think after they left one time, I don't think the Jets will ever take it for granted, or our fans will ever take the Jets for granted ever again.
No.
And I think our city just loves hockey too much to ever let it go again.
One of my first memories was chanting. We have the habit of chanting the opposing goalie's name,
of course.
And I remember chanting Osgood. Chris Osgood was the goalie. I want to say it was late in the season, in the 95-96 season, so probably early 96. I was about 5 years old.
Good memory,
Osgood.
I was going to say.
Yeah, and that's probably one of my earliest memories in general, but earliest hockey memories. But we also have at our place is the framed check of the Save the Jets Foundation.
Oh, nice.
So I think
crazy.
it was a $50 contribution to try and keep them in town. But we also took the day off school. Our dad pulled us out. My dad's a huge hockey fan, so he pulled us out of school so that we could go to the Forks. And then full circle, when they came back, I was at Portage and Main for the festivities when it was announced that the Jets came back. So that was
awesome.
In a similar way, this seems now we're celebrating the team's success. That was celebrating the team coming back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it was, the energy's the same. It really bonds
true.
the city and brings people together in such an amazing way. And that's what sport can do. But I think the Jets are, especially right now, are a very special team.
They are. And they're going to be special for a while.
Yeah.
They got a lot of good young talent.
I think
they got a lot of good young talent in the system, not even on the team right now. They got a good front office. They got good people heading the organization there, drafting players, scouting department, everything. Yeah, they're...
kudos to whoever's doing the
kudos
drafting.
To everybody. I remember a lot of people were shitting on Shovel Day Off when he first came here because he wasn't making the trades. He wasn't making the free agent splashes. But like you said, trust the process, and it all comes to fruition because, coming to Winnipeg, especially a new team, draft and develop, and it's paying its rewards right now.
I would say both Winnipeg teams, both major. So I would call that the Bombers and the Jets.
Yeah.
But they've shown the path of how you build a great team, and it's draft great talent. In the CFL, it's a little different because you got to draft good Canadian talent, and you got to develop that. And that was their lack for the first couple of years of this regime, for lack of a better word. And now they've started to develop that talent and bring in a bunch of good players. But the Jets, in the same way, have shown that patience of, let's draft players. Let's not risk it all to have maybe one good season with rental players. And then, because 2 years ago when we made the playoffs, we weren't a contender. We weren't a legitimate contender, and they were aware of that. And so they didn't make any dumb moves right at the trade deadline or anything. But now it's, getting a guy like Stastny and even Morrow with the game winner.
Yeah.
Guys, unheralded journeymen doing their part and making it work. And it's been really cool for the city. I wish I paid a little bit more attention. I've been to a couple games, but for whatever reason, I love hockey, but football took over in my life. So it's
fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
But talking about sports, you started out as a goalie when you were young.
I did.
My dad always told me that goalies were absolute crazy.
Everybody says that. Goalies get a bad rep, right?
Yeah.
If you're a goalie, you're nuts. No, I think I'm kind of normal, a little bit.
You stand there for 10 minutes and then you get a shot. It's just a crazy lifestyle almost, because it's so calm. You got to keep yourself busy, and then all of a sudden it might be a flurry of 10 shots in a row.
You know what? And you actually see it a lot. Goaltending it's mental. It's almost all mental. And you see guys that are, a little bit older, finally breaking into the league when they're older and finding success because it takes a lot of learning. Like goaltending it's obviously positional. It's about how you react to situations. And it's being mentally tough because you're going to go through ups and downs as a player, as a goalie. But if you're a goalie, your downs are going to be more noticed and your ups are going to be more noticed. So to be able to recover from those low lows is one of the hardest things and hardest things about being a goaltender. I actually didn't want to be a goaltender when I started playing hockey. I always wanted to score goals, and my 8-year-old Phoenix hockey team needed a goalie, and my dad's in the dressing room. I'm doing my skates, and he goes, "Addy will play goalie," and I go, "Really, Dad? I don't want to play goalie. I want to score goals." And then I strapped in the pads, and the rest is history. The rest is history. He did that because we always were playing street hockey in my front driveway, and he always would just shoot balls at me. I think it was more for my dad to have fun and try to score goals on me than anything, to be honest. And then he signs me up to play goalie, but I don't have any regrets ever since. I love it. Love the position.
So you were better than the shooter tutor then?
I was much better than the shooter tutor, yeah.
How long did you play goalie for?
My whole life. So I played from 8. I started hockey at 8, so it's a little bit later than most people. And then I finished when I was done junior hockey. I finished then when I was 20. And just called it quits, went to school for a bit, and got my degree. And while I was playing junior hockey too, actually, for Steinbach and the Saints, Steinbach Pistons and the Winnipeg Saints, who are now in Verdun, I was taking courses all through, university courses all through that time as well, which was a struggle, to be honest. It was a lot. I was taking a full-time course load, 4 classes a semester, while traveling and playing junior hockey. Somehow passed.
So you are insane.
So I guess I am insane. I guess you're right, Jayse. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that same struggle was more so being a student athlete when I played Bisons, but then translating that after to working essentially full time in my last year of schooling and doing my field work, which was expected a 40-hour work week, so 80-hour weeks. And then my last semester taking 5 courses for the first time and working at the Pint, so where everybody's gone to watch the game, and bartending there 4 or 5 nights a week. So I'd never want to repeat that time in my life.
Struggle. It's hard. I honestly, to take a full-time course load and to work and make money and survive, it is difficult. Kudos to everybody that does it and can do it, but it's tough. I mean, you're in school full time. It's like a full time job, and then for you to have some kind of a part time job on top of that, it's tough for people to do that. And you got to set aside time for studying and writing papers.
Yeah, I guess not very much time for social then.
Not
social life,
very
right?
much time for social life, which is also very important. Personally, I believe so. You know what? Getting on the topic of university and the school and everything, I look back at my life and I have one regret I had. To be honest, I wish I went and did a trade. I wish I did a trade, especially now that in the industry that I'm in, I'm learning a lot more about construction and building and all that stuff. But I wish I'd had a trade. That's the one thing I wish I did.
Why do you say that?
You know what? I have a degree in kinesiology, a phys ed degree. The plan was to become a teacher, and I realized early on in my education part of my phys ed degree that this wasn't for me. I love kids. I've worked with kids my whole life. I worked at the Manitoba Youth Center with at the jail there as a counselor. I worked growing up. Obviously, I trained people and helped them adapt a healthy lifestyle. I trained goaltenders at the Goaltender Development Institute. I ran classes for kids. I worked with kids my whole life. And at the time, when I was younger, I was like, I want to continue on this path of working with kids. And I think teaching is the best way to do that. But in following my whole family's footsteps, I saw, teaching, great job. Don't get me wrong. I love the teaching job. It's great benefits, good pay, everything about it's awesome. But for me, I always saw myself as being my own boss. I wanted to be my own boss. I didn't want to have, okay, you're only going to be making X amount of dollars a year. Personally, I don't care if I make less if I have the potential to make more. That's always been my mindset. I will work my ass off to get somewhere. I'm a hardworking guy, and I like to work. So to be limited in my work days, I want to work more and have the potential for more if I work harder. As a teacher, you're showing up, you're 8:30 to 4:30. You put in your time. There's not much really potential for anything else, right? So entrepreneurship for me then became, when I was in university and I'm experiencing everything, taking classes and trying to think about what to do. I said, you know what? I finished my first year of education. I still have 1 year to this day left to do in education. I could become a teacher. I got 1 year to do it. I don't think it's ever going to happen, to be honest. But I got 1 year left if I did want to do it. But I did my 1 year, and I said, you know what? The time is now for me to do this. I'm still young, and if I'm gonna make a change in my life and I'm gonna dive in and do something, now's the time to do it. And that's when the whole real estate thing kind of took over, and I dove full steam into real estate sales. But in the same sense, while I was doing all these things, taking university classes, playing hockey, I started to learn and read books and more about investing in real estate. So I have 3 rental properties now. I'm hoping to get more this coming year. But I started learning the value and the benefit, especially in Winnipeg. I mean, obviously, I'm going to advocate for Winnipeg. I'm a Winnipeg Realtor. I started learning about the value of buying and holding real estate as rental properties. I haven't done a flip yet. Maybe I'll dive into that one day, but a bit more risky. I'm buying and holding property. And when I started learning about that, and I basically, when I was doing all these things too, I was so interested in real estate and buying real estate that I was basically becoming a realtor at that time. I was learning about Winnipeg, all about Winnipeg. I was doing a realtor's job without actually being a licensed realtor and being able to sell. I was looking at so many places just to see what they were like, being strategic on what places I chose to buy, and I learned so much at that time that when I did go to do my real estate license, it's supposed to take you 6 to 12 months. I did it in 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Just because a lot of it was just information I already knew. And
because you're a crazy goaltender.
And back to that, I'm a crazy goaltender. No. Exactly. So it's that is the one thing, back to what I was originally saying. I wish I took a trade. And I think with a trade as well, not that you're limited. If you're a doctor, you're a doctor, you're a lawyer, you got those secured kind of jobs. I think a trade, it kind of has a bigger, broad range of, okay, I could start my own business with my trade. I could work for somebody in my trade. I think it allows you a bit more opportunity in that sense to, branch out in different avenues, which in my mind, I think now, it's like, I wish I did that back in the day.
Do you think that is potentially something that you could do in the future?
Good question. I don't know. I'm busy right now with work,
for sure,
and building my business and advancing in my current career. I don't see any time in my near future, just because I am busy with what I'm doing, and I got clients that I got to take care of, and but I wish I just knew more. I might take like a construction class or something just to learn more in depth about how to build and
so
do
that
things
was my
like
next
that.
question. What trade would you?
Yeah, I think honestly, I need them. I like them all because I'm actually redoing my house right now. Me and Lindsay are redoing our house that we're going to be living in together, and I've been following along every step of the way. I did some of the demo myself, but I like learning the process throughout the whole entire time. I like learning about how they're doing it, how this is what steps to take to do everything, along with me and Lindsay designing the place ourselves, which was a great fun experience for me. Picking every single aspect of the house out was incredible, and it's good for my career because I get to actually put to use what I can express to people as well. So here's how much money you can spend. I've done all the research for so many different products now because of my house. Here's what you can expect to pay. Here's how much you're gonna expect to pay here and here and here. Here's what designs can work. Working with color schemes, working with layout and all that fun stuff. So it's been a very interesting process, and I'm loving every step of it.
You seem to have a very specific affinity to learning how things work.
I do. I always like to just know, totally, 100%. I like learning how things work. I'm intrigued by, when I walked in here, Jayse, I said to you, I'm like, oh, how's this system all hooked up,
and that's where it started, and now I'm starting to get the idea behind it. Yeah.
So I was trying to learn about how the mic system's all hooked up through your computer and through your computer program. I love technology. I love building, and I like learning how these things. I don't always dive in depth on everything to learn super deeply about it, but I do like to learn the broad logistics of things.
Right, the basic understanding of how something is getting put together or
Totally.
working, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I completely understand, or I understand that sentiment for sure. Myself, I've always been that way. It started with computers and how computers work. How can I build my own computer? And then it kind of built into graphic design, and then fitness eventually when I started losing weight. And fitness has been one that's been, and then personal development, I guess, is more lately in the past couple of years, and just how people think, the psychology behind it. And this is something I never thought I'd be interested in. Like, how do people work?
Totally.
But if you were to recommend, you said you read a lot of books on realty going into it. If you were to recommend a book or a couple books for someone who was, say, interested in realty, where would you tell them to start?
You know what? Honestly, I don't even remember the names of the books now. It's like I just have them. I read them. I don't remember authors' names. I don't remember anything. I go through them and I'm like, oh, I like that point in that book. I like this point in this book. Not every book I've read, not a single book I've read has the whole entire book been awesome. I take specific things from the book that I think are going to work in my scope, because not all of the realty books I've read are, Canada-based. A lot of them are U.S.-based, and the rules are a lot different in the U.S. than they are in Canada. Even from province to province, the rules differ. So, in that sense, I wouldn't say, there's a specific book that I read. I just I like to keep my mind open and read a lot of things. Any kind of investing book I've kind of got my hands on, just read about how people have started investing in real estate, how people are investing in real estate without using their own cash, and how to kind of build an empire of real estate. So there's no specific book I can say, and honestly, I wouldn't remember the title or the author anyway.
Was there a moment specifically that you knew that that's what you wanted to pursue, since you had all these other things going on, and then you got interested in the investing side of realty, and then you went? What was that jump moment, and what made you gravitate towards it in the first place?
So, like I said, the whole starting of real estate investing is how my mind got wrapped around real estate to start. That's what started. And then when I started investing, that's when my mind was starting to think, well, if I was a realtor, I could start buying my properties. I'd have a much bigger in for certain properties. I could possibly get properties cheaper because I am a realtor. I have an inside track on certain things. That's how my mind started there. And then I go, a realtor's job, at the end of the day, being a realtor is about creating relationships with people. And my business is going to be built on people having a positive experience, enjoying every second of working with me, and me taking care of my clients in whatever way is possible. And I've always been that guy. I've always been in hospitality. I've always
working with kids to personal training, right?
Exactly.
It ties together.
It all ties together. So you know what? In a sense, it's the same. It's the same sphere. It is. It's the exact same kind of profession.
So helping people is at the core of that.
Helping people is at the core of this business in general. And I was thinking, shoot, I should do this. But the biggest and scariest thing for me to get that jump, way back then was I'm going to be jobless, right? You're not guaranteed any income. It costs money to start real estate. It costs money to stay in the business. I have bills. I have high bills monthly just to be a realtor. So if you don't do anything, you don't sell anything, it's going to cost you money. So it's a scary jump to take, and it's scary to think, I'm paying all these bills, not even just breaking even, but I'm going to be losing money if I don't do any business. And it's a scary jump to take. The other thing too was I was working at the gym doing the personal training thing, and in real estate you can't have two jobs in Manitoba in real estate. You can't be a realtor and have a second job.
Really? Is that like via the contract?
It's the Manitoba's real estate rule basically.
I had no idea.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So I was working at the gym, helping the family out. So at the time, for me to leave there, my sister was going through cancer treatments as well, so she wasn't at the gym as much. She's a big time there, right? She's there a lot. So I was kind of covering for her, so just kind of put a delay on it. I didn't want to leave it until eventually I said, you know what? I got to do this. This is what I want to do, and I'll work my ass off to make sure I succeed at it. And you know what? The rest is history, and I just, grind every day and enjoy every day, because I do. I truly enjoy every second of what I do, and I enjoy the people that I work with, and I enjoy it all. I love it.
That's actually super inspiring, and we actually touched base on it, especially in the previous podcast, and how if you want something, you have to be willing to work for it.
Totally.
Put in the work, right? You can be stronger if you put in the push-ups. You can be a realtor if you put in the work, right?
Absolutely. And you know what? It does. It comes down to you just putting everything aside and doing it. And you know, yeah.
I think a lot of people fault in that mindset is that they want it to come easy. And
I agree.
I think the victory is so much sweeter when it's harder, though.
It kept coming into my mind that the best growth and the best things happen when you're living at the edge of chaos, when you keep things together, but you're pushing yourself, and it's, you know, you're staring over the edge, and there's oblivion on the other side, and you could maybe fall flat on your face, but that's when you're actually going to achieve the greatest things in your life. And the fact that you're willing to do that, that's what's so inspiring about it. And especially and people often have that. There's so many things influencing you in life, and all the things, whether it's family, whether it's career, and to actually make that jump and believe in your own talents is such an amazing, inspiring thing to do.
Ultimately, every kind of career path someone's going to take, you're always going to have questions. No matter what job you take, whatever career path you take, you're going to have questions about it. You're going to question certain aspects of it. But what I always kept telling myself is, what do I love to do, and not that everybody finds something that they love to do. Not that doesn't happen. What do I love to do? What do I think I can be good at? And roll with it. And
I think that's extremely important too.
Totally.
Is when everyone else is doing something a certain way, you got to figure, okay, what can I do differently? But what can I do differently very well?
Yep.
That's different from everyone else.
And I think having also the mindset of, you know, do I want to be a singer? Yeah, but I know I'll never be able to become a singer. You know, so having some realistic expectations as well. You do need to have those, because
staying grounded.
You got to stay grounded. You can't, you know, I want to be a superhero. Sorry, Addie, you're not going to be a superhero, right? You know, there's certain things I know I'm not going to be able to do, and I know I wouldn't succeed in. So to find something, you know, that's close, I think, you know, as soon as you start thinking you're going to be good at it, if you have a good feeling about it, then that's kind of how I got started in that, right? And, you know, keeping a realistic expectation, I think, is very important as well, based on what career or job path you're going to go down. Because, like I said, I'm not going to become a singer. I love singing. I'm not going to become a dancer, and I love dancing.
I agree. I think you touched on something there too, and it's something that's come up. I especially see it on Instagram, but it's people that are dreamers through and through. They don't necessarily, and some of them are maybe a little bit successful in their own right, but you see the posts of, I'm going to be this and living in a mansion and doing all these amazing things.
Totally.
And you go, no, you don't have that drive, or, you know, you might get some semblance of that, but you have to be more realistic. And I think that makes sense. You need that. You need to be grounded, but you also need to have goals, and you have to want to achieve great things at the same time. And it's finding the balance between the two. Is
a lot of people
really
also,
important.
like you said, they wanted that mansion, that very specific material goal, rather than the idea of the success behind what they're doing and whatever else just comes with it, right? And it's not that someone can't be a singer. I know I wanted to be in the NBA when I was younger. I was like, I'm going to be the next Michael Jordan or whatever. He was my idol growing up. So,
can you jump from the free throw line,
nope,
Jayse?
Definitely cannot. Cannot jump, especially now with my knee going out every time I try to. But that's not saying that if I didn't truly believe I could be in the NBA. I'm like, yeah, I dreamed of it, but then I wasn't putting in the work either. You look at someone like Michael Jordan, we talked about him on the podcast again before, and he put in work day in and day out, and a lot of people don't see that. If you really want to be like a professional singer, or you want to be on stage and be famous, you got to be willing to put in the work behind the scenes.
And I think there's also different types of people who will work hard in different types of ways. So, you know, my mindset is when I'm self-employed, every second that I put into my job is advancing what I'm building. And I'm going to work my butt off to do that. A lot of people who can, if they want to be self-employed, but a lot of people don't have that work ethic to, you know, be on their own and to do things on their own. But you put them in an atmosphere where they're working for somebody, and someone says, do this, and this, they'll work their butt off and complete all those tasks. I think there's different types of people for different type of workforces, and I think obviously entrepreneurship's not for everybody, and working for the man's also not for everybody. Yeah. But it takes certain people to to come to those certain positions. And like I said, I don't think I don't think everyone's tailored for entrepreneurship, because they're not. It's tough to work for yourself and to put in that drive and effort every day and say, what am I going to do today to make my career better?
It's funny because I see that side of the story too, where it's entrepreneurship is often not taught in schools, and especially when you're taking something like phys ed, it's well, you're gonna have to find a job when you finish. You're gonna have to win over whatever board of the school, and then you'll get a job, and then hopefully you'll do good, and they'll give you a contract, and then you get your tenure, senior whatever ship, and then you'll be able to stick with it for 30 years, retire, die, and that never spoke to me either. I saw that same thing. I took recreation management and community development, so it was parallel to phys ed and kinesiology, and I was interested in the sports side. I think that's usually where it starts.
Of course, exactly.
And also helping people. But I said the same thing. I'd spent enough time with trainers to go, when you're getting up at 5 a.m. to open the gym at 6, and then you're leaving at 10 at night, at 35, and
what's that
that's
like?
Funny. That's that Jayse. But at 35, at 40, it seemed that there was only a certain window. And I don't know why, but that was just my mentality with it. I just didn't see myself being satisfied in that role. And same thing with phys ed. It just seemed the same kids, well, new kids, but the same programming year in and year out. And then you wake up at 35, go, I wish I did something, or I tried my own thing. So the management side really drew me towards recreation management and taking that through school. And now it's kind of evolved into, I worked for the Bombers as soon as I finished school, which was a really amazing, cool experience. And that's kind of led itself to even being more interested in entrepreneurship, especially working with somebody who is very driven and motivated and has built businesses before. And it was an inspiring place to be. And then now to see that evolution kind of continue, I looked at starting my own youth programming when I finished that, because I had an idea. I could take you on a walk through a facility I imagined for that during that time. So I was inspired creatively. And then it's kind of come full circle now to where it looks like I'm taking an executive director role in this summer, and going to be starting programming, but also learning the business side, and then it'll build from there. So it's a really cool experience to just, school didn't really teach you that. And I do think that lacks within, you need more dreamers. You need people who are going to build a better future for us, whether it's physically at homes and buildings and schools.
Because you are going to have those people that excel beyond everyone else. And unfortunately, sometimes it's taught that they can never do that. And so their potential is never reached, right?
Completely. And you know what? I think a lot of, a lot of our family plays a large role as well. My mom, I love my mom to death, but she was always the one that said, be a teacher. I want you to get your secure degree and job. Yeah,
secure job.
Exactly. You got your security.
I think that's very much benefits. The old generation way of thinking as well.
It is. And you know what? And nowadays, the security's not even there now when you get a degree. It's like, okay, I look at my year of phys ed, and I see so many people struggling to find jobs. Yeah. And it's, okay, cool, you got your degree. Back in our parents' day, it was get a degree and you get a job. It's pretty much automatic. Yeah. Now, it's like, okay, people are asking for years of experience for these jobs. Well, how do you have years of experience when you just finished school? What do you do to start getting that experience? It's hard to find jobs out of university. It's
sure.
Tough.
Yeah. I have a film and theater degree, and I'm a personal trainer.
Yeah, exactly.
The complete opposite.
Totally opposite.
Yeah.
It's funny the different paths that you go down. You sometimes hit a head at a certain point in the path, and it takes you in a new direction, and you have to evolve, and then you might even bounce again. But it's funny because to me, that doesn't seem like wasted time. It's you learn from all those experiences, and completely. You learn more so about what you want and what you want to accomplish.
Absolutely. I think taking on different jobs and different volunteer work and seeing and experience different things, even in travels. I think you learn a lot about yourself. and I think you learn a lot about what you want to do, and I think you learn a lot about what really drives and motivates you as well.
Yeah, and I always say you never know unless you try, right?
Completely.
Even if it means failure. I mean, I've done it time and time again. I went to Vancouver Film School, dropped out, came back after spending $30,000 on school, and that went to nothing, right? It went to waste. Came back and then didn't know what I wanted to do. Got an opportunity to work for the Canadian Coast Guard, and it wasn't until there, after I lost 150 pounds, so I was super skinny and never even touched the gym, and then it was the gym at the Coast Guard that started to get me into fitness. But then while I was there, I was like, I want to really do film. So I came back here, went to the University of Manitoba, took 5 years of film and theater, and then theater was found along the way with film. I ended up falling in love with theater. And then I kept going to the gym, and I kept getting the results that I wanted. And then as I learned more about the gym, I wanted to learn more about the human body. And then as I learned about the human body, I started getting interested in training. And then I started getting interested in how people think. And it started turning my mind.
Evolving.
I never thought I'd be interested in, I hated biology growing up. And now I have a job that involves biology. I hated psychology. I never took psychology in university because I thought it was a waste of time.
Now you're interested.
And now it's the primary focus of mine. It's interesting how it keeps evolving over time.
Totally. And you know what? People change too, right? Like, I mean, I look at my life when I was 18 versus my life now. I look at my life even when I was 22 to my life now. It's completely different. And I have different mindsets and different values. And, I think as you grow older through all the way up to your, mid 30s, things change in your mind and you're always evolving as a person and you're always changing as a person. And I think no matter who you are, it's going to happen. And it's good. It's good, but it could also be bad depending on the situation, right? So
one of the things that I've noticed that you do, you talk with your hands a ton, and I feel like you're naturally meant to be in front of a camera.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I was going to transition this to social savvy and being in front of a camera and maybe a little bit about the business, but then the videos that you do and kind of the experience with that as well.
What is social savvy first of all?
So social savvy is the brand. So actually my business partner, Jesse, he pioneered the whole social savvy creation. He started that when he started in real estate. He started this movement of, the social savvy brand and creating videos and content for houses to be showcased and seen, and for him to get promoted. So then when I came on the ship here, we're kind of changing our focus a bit, changing our brand a little bit, just because it's different now. There's two of us, and we're always evolving, always changing with the times. But the social savvy brand is based on getting your house showcased, seen, and sold. And our videos are a good way to market that and also get our faces out there. I don't think enough people realize the power of social media nowadays, and that is where everybody's getting their information from now. Yeah. Times are changing. That's where everything's moving towards. You can do.
It's interesting that Realty hasn't actually taken advantage of that sooner.
You know what? It is now starting to become a standard thing, and video is starting to become a standard thing because people are starting to realize, okay, people connect with video a lot more, building that knowing of somebody, that liking of somebody, that trust of somebody, seeing them on a camera, seeing their face and how they react is how that all kind of comes together. And a lot of people don't understand the power of social media. Back to what I was saying, because we can take our videos. And, if we have a house in, say, White Ridge, I can geo-target specifically White Ridge area with our marketing, with this listing, and say, hey, White Ridge, come check out this place. You can literally geo-target the specific area, specific age range, specific likes and interests. Right. Somebody like triple car garages. Okay, cool. I want someone that likes triple car garages because we have one here.
Not to discourage you, but hitting the table makes noises.
Okay, I'm gonna keep doing that.
Yeah, but just the mic picks it up. So
does it? Okay, yeah. Good to know.
Yeah. Usually, I'm the one doing bad for that.
Jayse
so that the mic picks it up. Okay.
People are gonna yell at their computer screens.
But yeah, no, it's crazy the power it has, and the reach of people you can reach on social media is exponential. And you do paid advertisements, and it costs next to nothing. You can reach tenfold more people than you can with flyers and that kind of old school of advertising. So that's kind of the social savvy brand in a broad sense. And the video thing, it's awesome. Getting in front of the camera, the first time is a little nerve wracking, but I'm pretty comfortable in my own skin, so I don't really care much to get in front of the camera. I don't mind it. But it is definitely, it's been fun, and I enjoy every second of it, and I love making the videos, and I love the response I get from you guys and everybody out there that sees them. Everybody seems to enjoy it, and at the end of the day, really, it's about us, me and Jesse. We have fun with it. We enjoy what we do, and we try to express it on camera. We have fun with it, and I think people will see that and say, I want to work with these guys because they're fun, energetic, and they know their shit.
Yeah, I had never heard of it before until yesterday, I think. And I said to Riley and you, and I was reading the podcast notes, and I was like, "What's this social savvy thing?" I do a quick Google, find it, and I watched the first video that came up on it, which is one of the more recent ones.
Yeah,
and I thought I thought this was an amazing idea. I'm like, how has this not been done sooner? Well, I mean, you guys have been doing it for a while now, right?
So it is starting to get in. You see a lot more people are doing it now. It's becoming more common because, especially with our technology nowadays, anybody can just whip out their phone and take high quality videos with just their phone if they want and create content. And creating content is what's going to give you the opportunity to build a business and get more lead opportunities, et cetera, right? So, yeah.
It also, you said it gets your face out there. It also makes it easier for people to approach you.
Exactly. And that's
a lot of misconceptions is like, you don't know who you're going to talk to for this realtor. So there's this kind of the negative connotation around realty.
There really is. It is, it's like anything, a car salesman, it's
any sales job.
Any sales job,
right?
Has that kind of persona. So yeah.
But it's being genuine shows through, and I think the videos and being so much fun and showing that you can make that experience enjoyable for people. And when they realize that, I believe that's important to show a consumer that to emote exactly what your style of business is going to be. You can usually tell the greasy car salesman.
Yeah.
And then you can also tell when somebody's honest and actually wants to help and wants what's best for you. And
and I think like the reviews alone speak well for yourself. I checked out the Facebook page, and you guys have, if not 5 stars, very close to 5 stars on there.
Exactly. You know what? It comes down to, I always say it's about building know, like, and trust. And if someone starts to know you, they like you, and they trust you, that is what pioneers, a relationship. And a good relationship with my clients, my friends. I help out my friends, close friends as well. Having those positive, know, like, and trust and positive experiences, it was what helps build a business. Because, as you build it and word of mouth spreads, just like I was talking about my dad's business with Pro Fitness, all word of mouth. People like what service you provide. They're going to talk about it.
That's interesting. I've never heard that before. Can you break down, what does it mean to know, like, and trust?
So first one's the know, right? You got to get to know somebody. So if I'm a realtor, someone doesn't know me. Okay, now first interaction, say it's me and you, Jayse. We just met. Now you're starting to get to know me. The first thing is to start to communicate with me, talk to me, start learning more about me, knowing who I am. Okay, as we're going through this communication, you like who I am as a person. I like who you are as a person. This fit, it will work, right?
Yeah.
And then once people start liking you more and more and more, and you build that communication, then the trust factor comes in. And then as soon as someone can trust you, what more do you need, right? And that trust gets built, and then that relationship is pioneered, right?
So I'm kind of interested in the like part of it. So there are psychology studies that have been done that show that within the first 30 seconds of someone meeting you, they've already decided whether or not they like you.
Totally.
So how do you get someone to like you? I don't like to use the word get, but
yeah. You know what? I personally think that my genuinity and who I am as a person comes across.
Yeah, you seem very personable.
I'm not a fake person. I'm a straight up person. I'm going to say it how it is. And if someone doesn't like it, fuck them.
Fair enough,
right?
Yeah.
So you know what? Yeah. Like that's
you're not going to be someone that you're not, right?
I'm not going to be somebody that I'm not to appease somebody else. I don't want to work with people that aren't going to like me for who I am, and at the same time, I don't want to force someone to work with me if they don't like me.
And that just speaks to how genuine you actually are.
Yeah,
so
that's what it comes down to. It's just, I'm always myself. I'm not a fake person. I'm always going to say it how it is. I'm going to lay out all the facts. I'm not going to hide anything. That's just always been who I am. And I like making people happy too, right? Like making people happy is always something I've enjoyed. I like comedy. I like making people laugh, and
it's really a lot to do with how you bring your energy into the conversation when you're first meeting somebody. They say it's usually a good thing to come in just above the level of energy of people that are in front of you. So if they're just calm and talking, you don't want to come in like million miles an hour, because then you seem crazy in comparison. But if you're a little bit more energetic, they're going to see that and they're going to gravitate towards it a little bit. But then I draw from a little different realm. But you have to open, so you have to talk, you have to begin the conversation, and then you have to do just that. You converse, you build the connection with somebody,
the rapport,
and then and then it's the comfort with them too. So then you can start to be natural and just have those honest conversations about their needs, what they want to accomplish, and their goals, and finding something.
Ultimately, not everybody is going to like my style. Not everybody is going to like your style. Not everybody is going to like so-and-so, Joe Schmo's style. Not everybody is gonna, connect with me on a certain level. It's just not gonna happen, and I'm not gonna force that. I'm gonna, like I said before, I'm gonna be me, and that's what I do. Be who I am, and if someone likes it, they're great, and if they don't, so be it.
Yeah.
And I think that's how a lot of good entrepreneurship is built, because being who you are, and if you're a fake person, I think it shows.
Yeah, I mean, there are different versions of yourself you can, or different levels of yourself you can apply. Like I like what Riley said about being someone who's very closed in. You're not going to approach them yelling in their face, right?
Exactly.
But if they're yelling in your face, you're going to yell back in their face. Personal training is. We learn to sell that way as well, or gain clients that way, and it's almost mimicking in a way their physical being, or how their body language is, right? So if someone's very closed in, you don't want to be very open and daunting on them. You want to be on level with them, right? But you don't want to seem closed off yourself. And then it's interesting, because I know when I sit down in the room for the first time with someone, and they move their chair across to the other side of the room, and they're as far away as possible as they can be from me. I know they're uncomfortable, and then they close in or cross their legs. They're uncomfortable. But then over time, over the sessions that they have with me, the third, fourth time, suddenly the chair gets closer, or they're not crossing their legs anymore, or they're leaning in to talk to me like they're engaged with me. Well, so it's interesting to see that progression.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing too is, a lot of people will see our videos we do, and they may not know us at all. They see our videos, they see how bubbly we are and how expressive we are. But I'm not like that all the time. Like, I'm a very chill guy at home. Riley, you'd know, like,
You'd burn out really fast if you were.
Oh, totally, right? I'm a chill, laid back guy 90% of the time. Obviously, we're going to have some fun in it and bring energy to videos. But I think a lot of people, if they don't know who I am, that's why that first interaction is very important, right? Because then I get to show who I truly am, versus, that's me on the camera. That's still me, and I'm still having fun with it, but I'm not like that all the time. Like, I'm not going to be up in your face and going, hey, it's, check out this beautiful kitchen. Like, no, I'm not going to yell at somebody when we're going on a show like, hey, check out this beautiful bedroom. No, it's just going to be chill.
Only if you're selling furniture. Can you
Come on down.
Come on down. Kernhill Furniture Warehouse. We got mattresses. Yeah, well, whatever. I had something to say, but then I got lost in the Kernhill mattress person.
That's what happens.
That's one of the great sales voices of all time. It was the dad, though. The son's not as good.
I actually got a phone call the other day. Yeah.
They got a free plug now. You're speaking down.
I got a phone call the other day. I've never spoken to this person before. It's just about some business. And as I was hanging up, they go, did you know you have such a radio voice? And I said, has anyone ever told you that? And I said, I have never heard that once in my life. I don't think I have a radio voice at all.
No?
But that's what I was told by somebody the other day.
Dad always told me I had a radio face. We said that last time, but don't hold that against us.
Every episode.
Recycling jokes. We'll say that in the .coms every time. maybe on a different level, actually, it was something that came up a little bit earlier, but you talked about entrepreneurship, and maybe have you read any books that led you towards thinking that way, or was it more so just a drive that you had naturally?
The entrepreneurship was more just a natural drive that I've had forever. No, my dad's an entrepreneur. My mom's an entrepreneur. My grandfather's an entrepreneur. My uncle's an entrepreneur. Everybody in my family around me is basically an entrepreneur. So I mean, yeah, maybe it's a bit silly for me to ever think that I could be anything other than that, right? But I think it's you hit a point where you realize what you start to want, like I said before, what you start to want, and you know what's kind of linking up with your lifestyle and your life and what's going to fit. And no, there's no specific books that I read, to be honest. Obviously, the real estate books that I read kind of started me on that path. But it was just always something of drive that I always had to, be able to work my own hours, to be able to work as hard as I want, as long as I want, to succeed whatever I ultimately put in it. And I like being able to put in as much as I can to get as much as I want out of it. Because I've always been a hard worker. I've always worked, like I said, I was in Steinbach while doing full-time classes. I've always worked 2 jobs. Like when I worked at the youth center, I was always also doing the training thing and bartending. I was doing a lot of stuff at once. I'm a guy that'll work, when I was bartending, I would work till 3 a.m. I'd wake up at 5 a.m. and start training.
Wow.
That was just my lifestyle back then. I didn't have a social life, which sucked. Now I have a much more, I have a greater social life now that I ever have, which is amazing. And I love it because ultimately getting out and talking to people and seeing people that I haven't seen in so long, I love that. And it's tough when you become so ingrained in work and that you don't have time to, see people. I think social media nowadays is amazing because people I haven't seen since elementary school, I can still keep up with them and still send them messages and say, hey, your baby's gorgeous and all those kind of fun stuff, right? So it is a cool way because you think back to even when even when I was in high school, we didn't have that technology. And it's a great way to still be involved with people's lives and communicate with people and see what they're up to, because I can't make time for thousands of people that I've met throughout the years, but I love thousands of people. But I can't make time to see all these people, right?
That's fair, yeah.
So I love the social media because I can go on there and still see what everybody's doing, still see how everyone's changing and growing up in their lives and, taking on moves and different job paths. And I absolutely love it. And people that are going to be watching this and seeing this, I see all your shit. So,
So we've previously spoken about social media in a very negative light much of the time, and I like that positive approach on it. The fact that it keeps us so connected, that
it does.
You can stay connected to that someone across the country and see pictures and how their life's changing too.
Exactly. I think I have people from elementary school that I haven't seen in years. Like I haven't seen them since elementary school, some of them. And now to see how they've changed and they've grown up, they look completely different, and it's just super cool to be able to stay in touch with them, even send them messages like in a heartbeat like that. Instead of having to pick up a phone and make a phone call to people, you don't have to do that nowadays.
Yeah.
And it's just everybody is so easily reachable, and I love that part about it. Obviously, you guys have talked about the negative aspects of social media, and there are tons. There is. I always focus on the positives of it because I am a social media kind of
being.
Being, yeah, exactly. Guru, I don't know.
Well, I see both sides of it too. I think it's especially with doing something like this podcast and even trying to grow a presence and just like you said with your videos is growing your persona and people gravitating towards the projects that you're working on. It is important to learn that side of things now more so than ever before. And so it's learning how to get posts and learning the promotions. And actually we did promote our last episode and just in the sense to learn exactly how it works, the reach and because obviously our hope is that people gravitate towards this, want to listen to it, and can learn something from it is the hope. And so it's important to learn that side, but it also is, there's only so many people and so much time in the day, and it seems that now it's almost an obsession, and because it has to be. To learn, you have to understand what people are doing, what posts are popular, what you should be doing and shouldn't be doing. So it is that grind. And I want to, in my own life now, I want to limit it to certain times because it seems important to not just get distracted and then just want to be looking at my phone when I should be accomplishing other things.
Exactly.
But at the same time, it's if you're growing a presence, if you have a brand, if you have a company, it's becoming ingrained in our culture. If you have that reach, if you have that presence, you're going to be successful, at least more so.
And it's funny because I find myself, I'll just give you an example. A couple nights ago, I'm on my phone for 5 hours. At the end of a night, just on my phone for 5 hours. And not that I'm doing anything unproductive. I'm trying to create content for my business, and I'm going through social and creating new avenues of business. And it's funny because I'm creating it via social media, which most people say social media is a distraction. Well, it is a distraction for some people, but I'm creating a brand out of it, and I'm creating content with it. And it's just the power of what you have in your freaking pocket is unbelievable.
And I would say it's crucial, if not mandatory, for any growing business nowadays to 100%. Utilize social media on every platform. Yeah.
Like I think a stat I read the other day is 88% of our population is on social media.
Wow.
And they're on it, I think, on average 5 hours a day. And that's substantial. Where else are you getting that amount of percentage of population? And for that amount of time, you're not going to get that anywhere else. Bus benches are the thing for realtors. You get your face on a bus bench. I don't have a bus bench for anybody wanting one. Sorry. And I talked to somebody that has been in the business for 25 years, and they said they had one call from a bus bench in 25 years. And, that just goes to show you, and people are still doing it and spending money on it. But I just find my money is better put elsewhere.
In the day and age where everyone's looking at their phones, things like bus benches are now just background noise, right?
Exactly. They're staring at their phone as they drive by the bus bench with my face on it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Even though I don't have one.
So one of the things I like to ask is, who's been the most influential person in your life, and how have they influenced you?
Oh, geez.
It could be some direct relation to you, or it could be somebody, a figure, a sports figure, or business figure as well.
I would say the biggest influence on my life, I'm not going to specify one single person, my family in general. I'm very close to my family. Love my family to death. They've always been so supportive of me. My parents have helped me out through my whole entire life. I'm very fortunate. When times are tough, they pick me back up. When times are good, they support me and, are right there beside me to cheer me on through no matter what I do and any avenue I take, which is huge. And not a lot of people have that. I'm very, very appreciative. And I think they're the ones that kind of, really my parents and my siblings are the ones that made me who I am today because, they helped raise me to be a good person, I think. So kudos to them. Kudos to you, mom, dad, bro, sis. Love you guys.
It seems that you have they inspired drive in you, and it seems that you have an innate positivity. And I wonder, is everybody in your family that way, or is that
yes,
yeah,
we all are. Yeah, everybody in my family is. You'll almost always see them with a smile on their face. Be happy to see you and talk to you any time of the day. That's you know what? That's again, it runs in the family. It's if you met my sister, if you met my dad, you met my brother, you met my mom, they're all the same. They're smiley, happy people and the sweetest people you'll ever meet, and I love them. So, it does run in the family.
So now on the flip side, is there a time that you've had to overcome a major failure, and how were you able to overcome it?
Oh, geez, I've had lots of failures in my life. I think everybody needs failure, and everybody has it. I think one of the biggest things was going through my teen years, and I think sport really helped me adapt to failure, and especially being a goalie. It's tough when all eyes are on you as a goalie. If you get pulled in games or you're not playing in the playoffs, you're getting sat for games. At that time, and my whole world was revolved around hockey back in my teen years. It's a hard pill to swallow, especially being a goalie. You want to be out there helping the team, and if you're on the bench, it sucks. And I'm not saying it happened all the time, but when it did happen, it was really, really tough. And I think going through that experience year after year, I ran into struggles every year at some point in time. Whether I was going through like I said, the highs and lows of goaltending, right? When I was going through my lows, it's a big burden to take on when that's your life at the time. And I think that really did help me learn how to overcome my fear of failing. to learn how to adapt when failure did reach me, what to do to overcome that failure, and I've had jobs where I've been not so happy in. I'm not going to name them, but working long hours, or going through tedious work, and just not being happy where I am. And then just feeling anxious and sad where I am, and then finally coming to that realization, I got to make a change for myself. If I'm it's not helping my health, it's not helping who I am, so then I got to overcome this and change and start thinking about things differently. And I think if failure does reach you, I think mindset change and how you're thinking about things a little bit differently can help overcome that failure and lead you down a path of what's going to get you through that.
The thing that I think of while you're saying that is the word momentum, where as a goaltender or real estate agent or whatever you're doing, it's easy to get caught up in it. So whether you're a struggling goaltender, you've let in a couple goals and lost a couple games in a row, it's easy to slide and your confidence drops and you start to dip into those deep parts of the soul where you're just angry and so you almost get averse to it. And I almost see the same thing. You could have that in realty where you have a bad month and you start to doubt your skills
and totally, and it comes up. It does, yeah.
And even in training and sales oriented training, where you're trying to bring in clients, it's that same thing. If you're having an off week and you can't show that positivity, if you kind of are defeated before going into it, you're not going to get that sale off. And was how I felt in that position too.
Any sales jobs are definitely the worst for ups and downs. I used to work for Rogers as a sales rep, and you get those months where you sell all those phones, you sell all the services, and you feel great, and this huge commission check comes in. But then the next month comes in, and no one wants phones. Everyone wants the flip phone or the voice and no data plan, and you find out half the people from last month canceled their services, so you get clawed back. So clawing back means that the company takes back the money because they didn't stay with that service. And then you find out you get this commission check that's thousands of dollars less, and suddenly it's a kick in the nuts, really.
It is, and I think at the end of the day, thinking about all these different avenues of failure, I think I know at the end of the day what kind of gets me through any kind of rough month or rough time is my confidence in myself. I'm a very confident person. I think cocky and confidence are two different things, and people use them interchangeably too often. I think there is a big difference between cockiness and confidence, and I think confidence is one of the most important factors for staying true to yourself and being able to overcome things, and also at the same time stay humble when success is there.
I like that, staying true to yourself and kind of remembering why you're doing it, right? And that it shouldn't be necessarily for the money. Like you like Absolutely to help people, right? And same thing in training. Exactly. You're going to have those dry months. It's going to happen inevitably, and it's an obstacle that you need to overcome. But you got to kind of rally back and say, why am I doing this again? And go from there.
Well, and it usually is more discouraging if you're in it for the money and you start to fail or you have an off month. Then you become that much more stressed because you're not getting the thing that you want.
Exactly.
Whereas if you're trying to help people, it's easy to get back on track and say, why am I doing this? Well, I want to help more people. So let's get back to what's working because I want to do that. And so it becomes easier to get back on track, I think, if you have that mindset.
And I think too, it's like, I was talking about, changing your mindset in a positive way, but I think it can also, it can really deter you. It's like, okay, I'm having a dry month or two, it can change you for the not the greatest, and then you change who you are as a person, and then you start changing your styles, and that's not good either, because if you're changing, you're being too pushy now, and you're forcing things too much. That becomes an issue as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that's why being confident, staying true to yourself, and just knowing that the hard work you put in is going to pay out no matter what, right? And if you keep following your values and who you are and staying true to that, it'll just advance.
Sorry, go ahead.
I like the cocky and confident analogy, and I always think of Tom Brady and Cam Newton right now in terms of Tom Brady. Why does he win so many championships, and why is that team so successful? And you could say
he didn't win a championship this year.
Well,
come
Eagles,
on, Riley.
Yeah, and go Eagles. Addie's a big Eagle fan. And that was an interesting story, too, because I would say they're heavily the underdogs playing with the starting quarterback got injured, the backup goes in, and they're still able to beat the Patriots. Right. But the Patriots, the fact that they've been able to essentially rebuild so many times, they've had Tom Brady, and the faces have changed from the 02, 04, the championships in the early 2000s to now, the mid 2010s, the next decade. Yeah. But the fact that they've been able to do it again and again, it shows the confidence of the head office in Belichick, and then Belichick and Tom Brady, and they interchange. They make average receivers, especially Tom Brady, look amazing. Mm-hmm. Danny Amendola was a decent, I think he was on the Rams back when they were in St. Louis, but he's an 100-catch guy, and same with Wes Welker. They do nothing anywhere else, and then they come to a system like that in New England, and then they're great. But then a guy like Cam Newton, he has been successful, but I would say it's individual success, and he's willing to make the throws. He can make all the throws, but when it comes down to it, even in the Superman rip off the cape and kind of pound your own chest, it shows through. Another guy I think of is Evander Kane with the money phone and you wonder why the Jets are successful now. Well, you get rid of the guys who are cocky and in it for themselves. Yeah. You bring in more team guys, which again, the Patriots bring in team guys. They get rid of, if you're going to be Randy Moss talking about yourself all the time, you're going to be shown the door. And so it shows you the difference between sustained success, I would say. You can be cocky and have short-term success. You might be the most talented person in the room, but the sustainable success, I would say, comes from that confidence that you've done it, you can do it again.
Exactly.
But being humble in that moment is important too, like you said.
I've seen people not get scholarships because of their ego.
Yeah.
I know people who think so highly of themselves that they don't get to go to college anywhere in the States because everywhere said no to them because of they don't have the sportsmanship, they don't have the teamwork, and like those are necessary things in most aspects of life. If you don't have that, then you're stuck by yourself and you're going to be on your own.
Totally. And cockiness, I think it's more cockiness. I in my mind is a more of a showboating of your successes and you're not staying humble. Confidence. You can have your successes. You're not going to showboat about it, and you can have your failures, and at the same time, you're still not going to talk about it, right? Yeah. This is just again staying true to yourself, and I think confidence and cockiness is a big difference, and I think it's important to differentiate those two.
Yeah, for sure, and kind of bring it back to like how the Jets kind of prevail by picking team players, and the same thing with the Patriots, and in any job. Overcoming that obstacle, having those dry months, not only does it come back to rallying back and kind of identifying why you're doing this in the first place, but we covered this on previous podcasts too, is what is insanity? It's doing the same thing in the same way, expecting a different result. Mm-hmm. So it's always, you have to be able to self-analyze, right? What am I doing that's not working, and what can I do differently that will start showing results, right?
Totally.
That's been one of the biggest changes in my life is just being able to assess. I even did it today where I had to take a self-assessment and went, where am I? And I've said it before, I kind of measure the different realms and also look at balance in my own life. So I don't know if, Addie, you have a similar outlook, but I look at it as physical, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual. And I don't think of spiritual as like a religious sense. I think of it more so as just having purpose and having positivity and trying to work towards a healthy future with yourself and mankind. But on the other side, so having intellectual pursuits, whether it's reading or career but being stimulated and pushed that way, emotionally. So that's the relationships, like you talk about, like social relationships, but also being in tune with your feelings, your thoughts, because often they'll tell you the things that you need to know too. And then the physical side, staying healthy, is obviously going to be important in any sense. But I had to take an assessment today of just where are the places that I could improve. And I've seen it as a development from, I definitely had bad habits in my early 20s. And I was I lived a little bit chaotically, is how I would say, in terms of a lot of different areas. And so now to see where I am now, but it's it's now fine tuning, it seems, where I'm on this path that I want to be on, but it's just finding those little things that I can improve on, or maybe the areas that need more focus in that moment. But it seems more important now, more so than ever before. I just went through, it's been like a couple days of just like stuck in my own mind for some reason, and I don't know why. I don't know where I'm going with this, but can you assess me, Mr. Psychologist? No. Yeah. There you go. So I don't know how to transition out of that.
I don't know. You were talking about life balance too, and like the
I was talking about life balance, but yeah, I always find it is important to get back to that, whatever that is for you and whatever that trajectory is.
Yeah, like back to like, the life balance thing. And you know what? Like obviously work is a huge part of life, but like I was talking about before, having a social life is obviously huge as well. Making time for whoever it may be in your life that you care about, whether it's family, your significant other, friends, you got to take that time to always, commit to those ones that you love and care for, right?
Yeah.
And having a balance. I work my butt off, but I can't work 24 hours a day for 365 days a year because I don't have time. I wouldn't have time to do other things that I love to do and, keep me healthy and keep me sane and keep those around me, engaged with me and in my life, right? So I think, having a healthy balance in many avenues in your life is very, very important.
Yeah, and I think part of that is surrounding yourself with the people who believe in you.
Totally.
And who support you and have a similar mindset as you. I was listening to Tim Ferriss today, and I feel like I bring him up every podcast, but
everybody goes on tangents, though. You start to listen to somebody, and then you transition to somebody else.
Yeah. And he said, usually asks people, what if you could put anything on a billboard, what would you put? A word or an image or a sentence of some sort of statement. And he was asked the reverse question to himself. Someone asked him, what would you put on a billboard? And it was super interesting. He's like, probably there was two things, but the second one was more interesting to me was, they say that you are most like the 5 closest people to you. So choose those people wisely.
And I think that's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that plays into things like karma too. And you are inevitably going to attract what you are. So depending on your mindset in life, whether it's positive or negative, you're a negative person, you complain all the time, or you're a smoker, you're gonna be around those kind of people, totally. Right? Yeah.
And I'm seeing the business too, right? Like I'm getting energetic, happy people because I'm attracting that energy personally, right? And I think I've always been like this. So even the people in my life, same thing, happy, energetic people. And I want to surround myself with those people. I don't want to surround myself with negative people who bring my mood down as well. I mean, everybody can be negative at certain times in their life, obviously. But I don't want to surround myself with people that, are going to bring me down, whether it's through work, whether it's through energy, whether it's through my confidence. I'm not going to surround myself with those people. I don't think anybody would want to, really, right? Like,
yeah, I don't know what it is about the word karma that irks me a little bit.
It does me too, because I don't think people think good things are going to happen to them if they just do good deeds, and I think it's more than that, right? I don't think you can just sit around and expect good things to happen to you. You have to actively do things that in return good things happen because you're doing these good things.
Exactly. You do your good deeds and you live your life, and at the end of the day, what you're doing and putting out there for the world, eventually, hopefully it comes back to you, and if it doesn't, whatever. At least you're still a good person in the process.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
That's how I talk about putting your energy out into the world, and hopefully it manifests in good ways, even if you don't directly see the results of that. If you've pushed that outwards, even if it's doing that small good deed, holding the door open for somebody was kind of the example I used. But yeah, and if you're helping kids, if you're teaching somebody, if you're genuinely there wanting what's best for somebody and helping them along, then you're going to hopefully put that energy out and it's going to evolve into something positive. And if you put that negative energy out, the same thing might happen, right? And I see that as being the constant battle of the world.
I like
itself.
what Addie says. Like, you hold that door open for someone. I don't think you can expect something out of it, though. No, like, hey, you, the universe, you owe me now.
You owe me one. Yeah. Make it 2. I open the door twice. No, exactly.
But that's what I mean, though. It manifests. You might not see the results of that. but hopefully it manifests.
But yeah,
Exactly.
of course. Hopefully
and
it will.
It makes you feel better about yourself too for doing good things, right? Like whenever I, whether it's just a minor thing like opening a door or just, giving someone $1 that needs $1, right? It's just things like that at the end of the day make me feel happy about myself, and I don't care if anything comes in return, because I feel better about myself for doing it. And I know
So you already got something out of it.
Totally.
Sure.
And I know I'm doing a good deed in the world, and I am a big believer of you get out what you put in. I really do believe that, and like I said, if nothing, I don't get anything out of it, I don't care. At the end of the day, it's making me happy, and it is what it is.
I had a cool experience this week. I was listening to a podcast. It's about the Spartan race, but it was actually about this lady who started obstacle course racing at 70.
Wow.
And it was very inspirational. And she actually went to cheer on her son, who's in his 40s, doing obstacle course races. And she went, that looks like so much fun. I'm going to do that. And so she started by just walking, and then kind of, she calls it her trot, something, her granny trot that she does. But she had 2 replaced hips, can only do certain movements. And when you can't do an obstacle, there's certain obstacles that she wasn't able to do. But she can't do burpees, so she does jumping jacks, and then she'll do push-ups to break down the movement. But I just thought it was so inspirational. And then I went upstairs to work out at lunchtime, and there's a gentleman that comes in nearly every time that I'm there with a care dog. And he's visually impaired. And I just all of a sudden noticed, you know when you just walk past and you don't want to mess with the dog, and you kind of he's doing his own thing. And I stopped and went, it's so crazy that I walk past every day. This is such an inspirational person working on themselves in the gym. And so I stopped and I just talked to him, said hi, and asked him what he was doing for his workout. And I could tell that he was appreciative of it. But then somebody else, after he left, and his dog went with him too, obviously. But a guy kind of just said, what an inspirational, awesome guy that is. And we take everything for granted. And I went, yeah, that's why I wanted to talk to him, because it was just such an awesome, it's just nice when you put that energy forward. And I felt good coming from that conversation too.
Yeah, right.
You try not to be closed off. I find that's what I mean by wanting to open up more to people, is you want to have those experiences and have those conversations that uplift not only the other person, but yourself in the process too. And I think it's available. It's there. There's often somebody you can connect with and learn maybe more so about life or outlook or whatever it is. You have lessons to learn through that and through conversation.
I kind of wanted to throw this out there for whoever, like people that are listening. I feel like it can be taken the wrong way sometimes too, that like finding like-minded people and the openness and everything, and just it doesn't mean finding people that agree with you all the time.
Totally.
And in fact, it's always good to keep you have your opinion, that's fine, and you can have other people have their opinions and you can discuss it. That's all great. But when you actively attack someone for having an opinion, that's when it becomes a problem, right? So I just don't want people to get the wrong idea that don't just look for people that have the same mindset as you and 100% go in on that mindset. Be open to other people's opinions as well, and respect their opinions because they are entitled to them. Like it's not the rule of the world, but it is the rule for them.
Yep,
and
exactly.
there's that is allowed to them, right? And I fully believe that. So I just respect others, and I think it's important and healthy to have someone who opposes your opinions as well. And it can make you see things in a different perspective, which is important in positive change in any form and shape in life.
Mm-hmm. Seems like people get caught in their sounding boards oftentimes, where it's you get caught around people that agree with you, and you're never willing to step outside that box, and it becomes treacherous sometimes.
I mean, yeah, it's understandable too, because it's nice to hear that you're right. Like, oh, I'm right, and you get a feel good feeling from it. And it's not always nice to hear that you're wrong, or that the way you're doing something is not the best way you can go about it. However, it can make you a better person and make you do that whole self-analyzing thing. It's an obstacle to overcome, right? So it's always good to not so much always criticize yourself, like recognize the good things, but also recognize where you can always improve. There's always an area of opportunity. We say that in personal training all the time. You can do things as well as you can, but there's always room for opportunity.
Can you cut and paste that over what I used that I was trying to say before?
No,
that's what I
respect what you're saying.
To.
I just didn't want, and I know a lot of what I say, and I know I've done it in the past where I've just gone out of my way. I'll ignore the people who've naysayed me and just go with the people that agree with me. And I've made that mistake, and I would get very angry at people if they criticize me and like just become very defensive. And it's only over the last 5 or so years that I've learned to open up to that. And it's through actually theater and film and through directing and acting that like you have to be able to take criticism because you're going to get it left, right, and center. It's going to be thrown at you whether you like it or not. And it will knock you down at times. It will make you rethink everything, but I don't think that's a bad thing as long as you're able to get back up and try better based on that criticism.
Totally.
And it doesn't mean that everyone's criticisms you is right. And it goes back to what you were saying. Not everyone's going to like you.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know what? That doesn't mean you have to change the way you are, but you can change the way you're doing something to improve yourself.
I would say that's one of the toughest things. I just personally, I like to be liked. And that's been one of the things, but that's been one of the things that I had to get over. I couldn't understand people not liking me for who I was because I mean, like you, I like to be happy-go-lucky, have fun, enjoy this experience. And so you do see people sometimes that have negative outlooks. And not to say that anybody who doesn't have the same outlook as me is negative, but there just have been those moments where people maybe don't agree with me or are different than me. And I let that bring me down and wasn't confident enough in who I was. And through those times to say, that's fine. You can have a different opinion. You can not like me. You can live a different kind of life. But yeah, for whatever reason, I'm learning, and it's a journey, right? And part of this, the Jordan Peterson book, The 12 Rules of Life, has been really helpful, but also eye-opening in the sense of just being self-critical and seeing exactly where you are. He talks a lot about hierarchies, but I also look at how people tend to sometimes not use other people, but it's control in a certain sense too. But I want to find my place where I can be successful, and part of that is not being liked all the time. You have to be willing to build what you want to build.
Well, I mean, Jordan Peterson's fame is almost 100% built on people disliking him. He would not be, I mean, maybe not 100%, but he wouldn't be as popular as he is today if people didn't disagree with him, and a large majority of people do disagree with his opinions.
Yeah, but he's willing to put it out there to help people,
and he wants
in the way that but also research, science, psychology.
But he encourages people to criticize him, right? He wants people like, good, like you should always question it, right? As you should question everything.
I'm even watching his Maps of Meaning lecture series, and he actually says that directly, where he says, criticize this and find what it is on your path that works and what's important to you. And yes, I'm not saying this is law or religion or this isn't, you have to follow this. This is what's going to work for you. And a lot of what he does is just, it's helping you build to where you want to be, realize where you were, and realize where you are. Yeah. And that's really what you should be focused on, is how can I make the present moment better? What could I do to better my predicament in the now?
And I don't think he's ever said that, like, this is what's going to happen to you. This is how you're going to be 100%. All he does is really lay out, here's the statistics. Statistically, this says that you're going to be a certain way. It's up to you to prove it wrong.
Hi, Addie.
Sorry. Oh, yeah, sorry.
Tangents.
So who's Jordan Peterson?
Maybe we should explain that.
So he's a clinical psychologist, and he was practicing for a long time. He still is practicing psychology, but he's a professor at U of T.
Okay. University of Toronto,
he got caught up in controversy because he refused to use gender pronouns, the 70 that are now. It's a bylaw in the human rights and the human rights amendment. I want to say amendment, but that's wrong. Code of not code.
I don't. I can't remember.
I wish I remembered the term. Anyways, there's a video of him. He wanted to have an intellectual debate with people who self-identified as either one of these gender pronouns or identified as a woman or were biologically male, and essentially wanted to have a conversation with them. And you can watch the video. It has all sorts of viral.
If you go on YouTube, you can look up just Jordan Peterson, Channel 4 News, and that's kind of the stem of where it all started. Not where it started, but where it blew up.
Yeah. Yeah. And now he's went on and he does a lot of different things. He's got his books and lecture series, but now he's actually touring and doing basically talks about the book, but in different venues and doing theaters. But it's really interesting, just some of the things that he has to say about. He's inspired a lot of males, but it's also just being it is that self-critical and self-assess and see how you can build forward and build a better future and find that sense of purpose, which I feel that a lot of people, especially in this day and age, lack. It's just trying to aim. He always says aim high. It's like that star in Pinocchio where it's aim high. And it's not like fall among the stars and whatever, but it's just find that point, find where you want to go. Yeah. And then you'll find the way along. Yeah. Cool. I wanted to know your favorite movie, and I also wanted to know why I thought it was Angels in the Outfield.
No, it's not. No, it's not Angels in the Outfield.
I want to know why you thought it was that.
I don't know. Yeah. It popped into my head as I was reading it, thinking of that.
Maybe it's your favorite movie.
Maybe it
is. It is not my favorite movie. Billy Madison, word for word.
That is also one of my favorite movies. Billy Madison. The movie I Love You, Man. Oh,
okay. Nice.
That one gets me every time. Probably my favorite. But I mean, I don't know. It's hard to pick a favorite movie. I could pick maybe like a couple favorites in each genre. Yeah. But I can't say, hands down, that's my favorite movie ever made. No, I can't. Like, I like a lot of movies. So I'm a big comedy guy, obviously. I love comedy. Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, I Love You, Man. Anything old Adam Sandler.
Everyone says that. Anything old Adam Sandler, like 90s or early 2000s.
New Adam Sandler sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything after. There was a time. Big Daddy was okay.
Big Daddy was good.
Big Daddy was good. Mr. Deeds was okay, but that was started the slide.
Yeah.
I would say. I still think Happy Gilmore is probably the best film he's ever done.
No, Billy Madison is iconic.
I love Billy Madison.
They're on the same level.
They're on the same level, though. Yeah. So amazing.
Two loves of Adam Sandler in the room.
Yep, clearly.
He doesn't get much love these days, so.
No, he does not.
Maybe he'll listen to this.
Well, he did come out with Jack and Jill. Did anybody watch that?
I don't know. Was like, meh.
Jack and Jill.
Yeah, he played both male and female. And
is it a Netflix show?
Brother and sister. It might be on Netflix.
Well, because didn't he sign a contract with Netflix, so he does things exclusively
for
them?
Silly things.
Which they've also recently signed Seth Rogen.
Yeah, I put on his comedy.
You seem so disappointed by that. Yeah.
Well, so it was a comedy benefit for Alzheimer's, and it was a bunch of different comedians and skits that they did. And it was all garbage because none of the comedians used their good material and none of the skits were really well thought out. So I just turned it off and went on my way. I had my gluten-free pancakes. They're delicious. But yeah, and then Adam Sandler also was part of the worst movie I ever saw, Punch Drunk Love.
Oh, what? Okay, no.
I haven't seen that one.
No, that's not a bad movie.
It's Adam Sandler in a drama.
Oh. That's strange.
If you think
it didn't go anywhere.
I used to think it was a bad movie too. I had to rewatch it when I was in film theory and write a paper on it. So I learned to love that movie because of what the director did with it, and not so much Adam Sandler's performance though. But.
Yeah, it takes a film snob to enjoy any kind of performance in Punch Drunk Love. I'm so surprised. If a genie granted you 2 wishes, what would they be?
I think I would only need 1 wish. Unlimited wishes from a genie.
Come on, that's boring. That's a childhood answer.
Well, if a genie could grant me 2 wishes, what would it be? Family health.
Ooh,
my number
good
one.
I like that.
And number 2 would be just happiness in my life, whatever it may be, whether I'm making no money, whether I'm making tons of money, whether I'm single, whether I'm married. whatever it is, whatever makes me happy in the future, I want just happiness. Those are my 2 wishes. Family, health, and happiness.
I like that.
Interesting concept. So if you were to, you wouldn't have to work towards it then, right?
Well, no, but I mean, I wouldn't have to, I guess, because of it.
It would just, you'd always be happy, no matter what you did. You'd be homeless on the street and you'd be happy, right?
That's true. I would be. So maybe I should say, the genie's wish wouldn't convert me to happiness. It wouldn't change my happiness. It would lead me doing something that I know I'm going to be happy at doing and be at a spot where I'm happy. Let's be honest, if I'm homeless, I'm not going to be happy.
So basically, the genie is just going to tell you to continue on the path that you're on.
Hopefully.
And then
maybe who knows? Maybe in 10 years,
you are the
I'll
genie.
be a different path. Yeah, I am a genie.
So what does a day in the life look like for you? Do you have any daily routines or practices aside from showering and looking so great?
Gee, thanks, Riley. You know what? It's funny because real estate's hard to get into a routine because things pop up daily.
I guess, schedules must be hectic.
Are very flexible and ever changing because something could come up right now as I'm sitting here and I could go on a showing tonight or have to go write an offer tonight. So my schedule's always evolving. I try and I still try to get to the gym, as much as I can, 5 days a week for sure. I try to get in. It hasn't been happening as much lately, but I've been doing other things that have been keeping me busy as well. So it's hard to get into that routine lifestyle. It is, but I always try to find time to get a little bit of exercise in. Hopefully, try to get all my meals in. Hopefully, again, it's tough, and also have at least a little bit of downtime at the end of a night just to unwind and reset the mind. And I think that's very important. Is, resetting that mind and not always being go. Having just a little bit of time to yourself and processing the thoughts of that have gone on throughout the day.
That's interesting because that sounds very similar to meditation, but it's almost...
Yeah, I wouldn't call it I don't know how to meditate. I'm not familiar with meditation.
Yeah.
But I would say it is a form of meditation, right? Reflecting on the day and just taking time for yourself to just sit there and just let everything out of the system. All the bad that came out, let it go. All the positives, let those sit and keep building your confidence and just, kind of reset and get ready for the next day. I sit every night before I go to bed as well. I always go to my calendar and I always just go, okay, here's what I got to do the next day or two. I want to see what I have in my calendar because, things get crazy and there's always stuff being added and subtracted. And my mind won't slow down and go to bed until I know I'm prepared for my next day. So I always look at before I go to bed, okay, here's what's going on the next day. Helps me relax. Some people will say, well, if you're looking at what you got to do the next day, don't you stress when you go to bed? No, it helps me relax because now I'm prepared for what's coming. And I know what to prepare for, and I'm prepared. If I'm unprepared, then I'll be stressed.
I think we talked about this before.
Yeah, I was going to say, Jayse, last time even.
Yeah, it's about, so there are studies that show, clinical studies that show that if you actually actively think about what you need to do the next day, you actually get more restful sleep.
Yeah. Well, there it is. Apparently, I'm a study case.
That's funny that you have those habits. You haven't necessarily... Did you learn them from anywhere, or it's just something that you felt...
just something that I
need to do?
Felt that I needed to do just to, I just started doing that. I started doing it at a young age, to be honest. Obviously, I do it a lot more now because my schedule is a lot more full. And again, like I said, it's ever changing. So I think when you have a hectic schedule like I kind of do, it's very important. Otherwise, I go, oh, what do I have to do tomorrow? I'm not going to sleep because I'm just worrying about, oh, do I have to do this? Oh, do I have to do this? Well, at least I know and I'm prepared.
Yeah.
How would you classify your spiritual outlook, and has it evolved throughout your life?
My spiritual outlook, and has it evolved throughout my life? Oh man, that's a tough question. I think it has evolved, yes. My family's a Christian background. I'm a Christian. I believe in God and the higher power. But it's funny, I talk about like spiritual isn't always religion. And religion and like you were saying before, and spiritual aren't the same thing. And I kind of I don't go to church. I don't pray consistently. I mean, I'm kind of in the mindset of, I believe in a higher power. I believe my good deeds on this earth and who I am as a person, ultimately, when I'm dead and gone, whether there's a heaven or a hell, I'm going to go somewhere where, I'm going to be happy there as well, because I've put in what I put in this world. I'm putting in good things in this world, and I'm being nice to people and treating people well. Ultimately, that should be enough to reward me at the end of the day. Or, reward is the bad word, but you know what I mean, right? That's kind of the mindset that I like to follow. It's just, I show my spirituality and I show my religion, I guess, through what I do in my day-to-day life. So
I like that. It's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. And you know what? I don't obsess about religion. I don't obsess about anything. And I think, again, it just comes back to being who you are as a person, being true to yourself, and treating people well. I always say treating people well is the biggest thing.
Yeah, treat people how you would like to be treated, right?
Totally. It's cliche, but it's beyond true.
It's true.
And
yeah, it's cliche because it's true.
Exactly.
I like the treat yourself that way as well. So treat yourself like you're a person worth taking care of. And also then it's easier to manifest outward too.
Yeah.
Like be in the gym, take care of yourself, eat well, and take those times that you need to relax and make sure that you're able to bring the most of yourself into your day-to-day life and interactions with people.
Totally.
But I like that. It's funny because I see so many, it doesn't matter who I talk to that has different spiritual outlooks or different religions, is often the same core principles of just bring the best version of yourself to the table and try and help people and be a good person, whatever that means.
Exactly.
And so it's so strange that people get caught up in tensions between religions and people.
Totally. And I don't like that. That's why it's, some people, if you say to someone, you're a Christian, some people don't like that. Some people don't want to be associated with a Christian, and you know what? That's why I always say, it's funny because ultimately at the end of the day, I don't know if there's a God. Nobody knows if there is a true God in the Christian sense, right? Like you can't see him, you can't talk to him directly. Some people may say they felt the spirit of connection, whatever. I don't know what's controlling us. I believe in a higher being and I believe in a higher power, but I believe that higher being and higher power is like I said before, it's comes back to just, being a kind person and promoting yourself on this earth like that.
Well, I mean, a couple of years ago, Neil deGrasse Tyson did a presentation on, and there is a lot of hate around, there can be a lot of hate around Christianity and like, oh, you guys believe in something that's not real. And Neil deGrasse Tyson just ultimately says, well, we can't prove that God exists. We can't disprove it either.
Exactly.
And he goes into saying, I forget the percentages, so bear with me because I'm going to make up these numbers a little bit. It's been a while since I've seen this video. He shows stats essentially on what kind of scientists and physicists believe in God still, and he's like, it's about 50% of the population of people. Of that population, it's 30% of scientists believe in God, and then of those scientists, I believe it's 5% or 7% of the most elite scientists and physicists in the entire world still believe that there is a God. So until that number is 0%, we can't say that there isn't a God.
And exactly. And like I said, whether it's God, whether it's Buddha, whether it's you're an atheist and you believe in science and just the Big Bang Theory, it doesn't matter what you believe in. It doesn't matter what it is. As long as you have something that you believe in, and like I said, as long as you're projecting yourself in this world in a positive light, I think that is the ultimate end goal of religion and in its truest form. Religion and spirituality in its truest form. Just being a good person on this earth and doing good things
I think
on this
some
earth.
People lose sight of that too,
Exactly.
and they can take the Bible maybe a little too literally at times. And
that's what I always come back to. As people ask me, are you religious? No, I'm not religious. I'm not. I believe in doing good things on this earth, and whether
believe in being a good person.
Exactly. That's literally, that is my religion, I guess.
Yeah.
I believe in being a good person and doing good things on this earth.
Go ahead, Riley. I always find it interesting to have this conversation with people because it's one of my favorite conversations to have. Because
aren't you supposed to not talk about religion?
And they say religion and politics to never talk about them. I don't shy away from politics. You can usually tell from people what they say and what they project outwards, what their political views are going to be.
Yeah.
But also, in the sense of religion, I actually always just find it as a learning process. There might be somebody's outlook. There might be something that you identify within that. And I see so many commonalities between, I've said it before, that I consider myself a Taoist, which is more just the philosophy of the yin and yang and balance. And so that's why I use terms like that throughout. And I almost think that that's the core value of a lot of religions too, is just, okay, there's good and bad. There's going to be this road that you go down. You might have to come back from negative experiences, but this is all part of the human experience, and this is all part of life. And so not to lose sight of, don't lose sight, and I really like the yin and yang for this, is don't lose sight of the light when you're in the darkness, the little circle, right? Because you have to have that hope that you're going to get to a better place.
Yep.
And even in that part where you're happiest, you have to realize that you might not necessarily be there for the rest of your life. Life comes in ebbs and flows, and you have to be willing to take that path, and you have to be willing to take the ride along with it, but appreciating those moments. And that's what I think it is. There are those moments of achievement, of happiness, of joy, of bliss, of all those things. And there's going to be the opposite, but you live for those moments, and you have to, and don't grasp at them. Don't try and grab them and hold on to them forever, but enjoy them as they're there and be completely in that moment. So that's maybe a little yogic too, but that's a little bit of my spiritual outlook. But I see that in Christianity. I see that in Buddhism, and Buddhism and Confucianism evolved a little bit from Taoist philosophies as well. And religions have all taken from each other too, is because that's the evolution. We're all people living in certain areas and then branched outwards. And so some of the stories change, but that's why a lot of the core values are the same as well.
Yeah. So, Addison, I just wanted to ask you a question. To those who are looking to become the best versions of themselves, and whatever that means, whether it be spiritually or whether they want to be going to realty or whatever aspect of life, whether they want to go into trades or whatever, what's the best piece of advice you could give them?
Oh, wow. That's a tough question, Jayse. Give me a tough one here. Say it one more time for me while I can think about it again while you say the question.
The best piece of advice you can give someone who is trying to basically change their life for the better in a positive manner.
You know, I'm going to touch on it again. I'm probably going to repeat myself again. But I think it comes always back to, you know, believing in yourself, having that confidence. You know, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to achieve, like we said before, certain things aren't for everybody, but you find something and you want to get there, and you want to reach that point. I think believing in yourself is the biggest factor, because if you believe in yourself, you believe in ultimately reaching that end goal, because that is what your goal is. If you believe in yourself, you're going to reach that goal. And there's a lot of aspects involved in any kind of goal setting and goal reaching. There's going to be a lot of different factors. There's going to be a lot of different changes. There's going to be a lot of things. But I think ultimately you stay true to yourself, stay confident, and work your butt off, and anything's possible.
Awesome. I like it.
Except me being a singer. That's not possible.
That's the only thing.
We haven't heard your voice yet.
Oh,
no. Want to sing us a little tune?
Not today. Next podcast I'm on.
There we go.
So that being said, where can people find you?
Oh, they can find me everywhere. Social media. So my main two spots, Instagram and Facebook. Just search my name, full name, Addison Herosian. You'll find me on both those places. Our website, socialsavvyhomes.ca. You can find all of my other real estate stuff in there. But generally, my Instagram, my Facebook, you'll see everything on there. You'll see more of the personal touches on there as well, which you know, I think that's very important as well. I don't want to just portray all the business. No, I have a life too, right? I have a personal life as well. I have things outside of business, and I like showing those things as well because I think that helps people get to know me better as well. So Instagram, Facebook, search me up, add me up, and those are where I would say to find me.
Awesome. Any other questions or anything that you want to touch on before we go?
I don't think so. It was a good time. Thanks for having me out, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on.
Of course. Anytime you want like another guest Addy appearance. Let me know.
Awesome.
I like it. It's always something that's made me gravitate towards you is just your energy and the positivity that you bring into a room. And so I was excited when I thought of who could we bring on here, and I went, Addy is doing, and it's who's accomplishing great things and
thanks, Riley.
And who's a positive person deep down. And I know that's you. Thanks, and so I was excited to have you on and just even learn more about your story. And it's fun to get to do this, even as right now it seems to be people in the inner circle that I want to get to know better.
Totally.
And so it's great to just learn people's journey through being a young professional, because I think that bonds us in the age that we're in, but then it bonds even people beyond this too, going through certain similar experiences. And so that's my hope, is just that people can kind of learn from our trials and tribulations and successes and failures, and maybe learn more so what they want and how they can accomplish those things too. So,
I like, sorry to interrupt you there, Riley, but I love what you guys are doing with the podcast. Keep it going. If you ever have any questions or want to pick my brain a little bit about stuff, let me know. I'm always free for chat about things.
Right.
So
I'll make sure to throw a couple links there and for your social media in the description.
Thanks,
so if you guys are interested in checking out Addison, see below or visit the links that you said earlier. Riley, you have anything to add?
No, I think that's a great time to go out, but we'll have some closing thoughts. So check out the meetup.com website. We do have a discussion group later on this month. We are still looking for people for volunteering as well. Check out the social media pages, Instagram and Facebook. Be the Change YPS on both of those.
Here comes
and
the
your
email.
favorite part of the whole podcast. And you can email us at b.the.change.yps@gmail.com.
Love it.
There's no better way to say dot.
Yeah,
There's
right?
Period. I don't know. Nobody wants to talk about period.
right.
No.
So, yes. Thank you for listening, and excited to continue on this journey with you.
Thank you, Addison. It's
of
been a
course,
pleasure.
thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Addy.
To all listeners, one last thing. I always do it. Stay social.
Perfect.
Stay classy,
See you guys.
stay social.